Wow, look at that. Hello, and welcome to the Real Football Fans of New Jersey. This is episode 146. And look at this. We look beautiful across Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter right now. And I know some of you are watching this on Instagram, so you can't see this beauty. But we have a new overlay. We got our logos in there with some colors. Yep. So shout out to Mike from Clara and the Big Blue podcast. He, reached out to us, Giants fans, women helping women, Giants fans helping Giants fans, and he designed all of this new stuff for us. Just our overlays, our logos are original. We are keeping that, obviously. Yeah. We'll never get rid of that. But thank you so much for this beautiful new artistry. What is that called? It's like, or I don't know, art. Yeah, just art. Artistry. What am I don't know what I'm talking about. You should check them out though. They are, Clara and the Big Blue podcast. You can follow them at CBBPOD on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, or check out their website, www.cbbpod.com. So again, thank you very much. We look amazing, but
love it.
Even more important, it is episode 146. It is Wednesday. Katie and I are here with wine. We are here to talk about football, specifically the Super Bowl. Right. We already got a comment on Instagram saying TB12. We will get there.
That's coming from a Bucks fan, a happy Bucks fan.
Don't worry, we will get there for sure. But as always, we do like to, do you want to start with the questions or do you want to start with the other thing?
Let's start with the questions.
All right, so we do have some things to talk about, before we go into, the big old things in NFL this week. But let's start with our questions. So as always, thank you for sending them in. We do have a couple for you that we hand selected that we wanted to get in front of you. If you have questions during the show tonight as we are live, go ahead, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, ask them. We'll answer them. All right, so the first one is not attending either Giants Super Bowl parade the biggest regret in your life.
I love how that's worded. I love how that's worded. Let me sit and think of my life's biggest regrets. It's actually pretty funny for me. I think it's a bittersweet thing, and I think it's like an easy two-parter for me. One, if you know me well, you know that I hate New York City. I really just don't like going there. And I'm also one of the main reasons I don't like New York City is I'm very claustrophobic in large crowds of people. So going to a Giants parade in the city with hundreds and thousands of people, that's about as bad as it gets for me claustrophobia-wise. But the second part of that is if the Giants won it again, would we go? 100%. Absolutely.
And I would get arrested,
that's the two-parter.
Probably. I would take it as far as Tom Brady took it today, being a little drunk. Do have a question on Instagram. How is that third pick doing for us that we got in the JPP trade to Tampa Bay Buccaneers? I don't know why you're asking two Giants fans that, because I wasn't happy that we traded Jason Pierre-Paul.
No, of course
they couldn't come to an agreement on a contract after we franchise tagged him, and that's the way the world works. Yeah. The NFL's a business. No one was happy with that trade. He was making more sacks with 6.5 fingers than a traditional Well, I guess I don't know how many. I don't know how many I lost. Than a traditional pass rusher was making with all 10 fingers. So that's my answer to that one. Yeah, definitely. So the pick, I don't even know who we got in that third round that year. So I don't even care. Yeah, they're probably suck. Okay. Who do you think would be more likely to make the Super Bowl again next year, Tampa Bay or Kansas City?
As we specifically have one Tampa Bay
following us, watching us right now.
Caitlin, why don't you answer first? I'm still thinking about this.
I do have to, and we obviously get into the Super Bowl later. Yeah. I do have to give props to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for their consistency on the rise throughout the season. Yeah. We did see them consistently get better, right, and fix areas that maybe we were questioning anything like that. We consistently talk about the powerhouse that the Chiefs are. I'm not really sure of what we were given on Sunday. Yeah. But I'm just going to go with the Chiefs on this one.
I think I have to go with the Chiefs too, because I think even before this Super Bowl happened, I was very adamant about the fact, specifically after Mahomes got that big contract, that I really did think he was going to win at least 2 more rings. And I think, if this squad for the most part can stay intact, I think that they could.
We got the big thumbs down to this
I think
answer.
that, we could see them in the Super Bowl again next year. But I got to say, and usually it happens, though, that one of the teams takes a little
has a
step
hangover.
Back.
Tom Brady might
But
have a
I do feel good about both of these teams and potentially making a run again next year.
Yeah.
So I will say that.
Absolutely. Alrighty, this one is interesting.
Okay.
Is Tony Romo a curse for bad Super Bowls? You guys saw him actually commentate the Patriots against the Rams, which turned out to be a horrendous Super Bowl, and obviously he did commentate this past Sunday. So,
funny question. It is a very funny question, and I guess I'm not specifically answering it, but I do want to kind of make amends here on the show to Tony Romo. When he first came onto the scene with the commentating, I think everybody knew that I really was not a fan, especially don't put him on Giants games. I don't want to hear this, especially from a Dallas Cowboy quarterback. But I have grown to like his commentating.
I do like him,
and I think he's definitely found a lot of success with it. And I think, in the main realm, if we polled people on the show, I think a lot of people would say they really enjoy his commentating.
Unfortunately, though, we won't really see if he's a curse until CBS gets the Super Bowl again. So it does rotate between all of them.
Yeah,
so we might
sure
have.
That.
So when was the Patriots and the? But now you got.
That was 3 years ago.
Yeah, but you've got things like Amazon coming into the YouTube sport. They're going to come in and start making bids for the Super Bowl.
So it might not be a while.
So we don't know. So we could see. We could test the theory, though. I think it's a very interesting
question.
Tony
Romo, if the Giants ever make the Super Bowl, do not commentate. How about we say that?
All right.
We made amends, but don't do a Giants Super Bowl.
And then finally, a great question coming off, not only our first question with the Giants Super Bowl parade, but today the Tampa Bay Buccaneers did have their parade in a non-traditional way. They had a boat parade.
Yeah.
So would you take a real parade over a boat parade?
I don't know. I think Giants fans. Giants fans are still pretty scarred by boats, if you ask me. So I think I'll stick to the regular parade.
A lot has happened since a bunch of our players were down in Florida on a boat. So I don't really
bad memories.
Bad memories. We haven't done good things since. So I don't really know what to say there. But I did find the boat parade today very entertaining.
It was really cool, and I'm also very jealous that we've got 2 feet of snow outside,
and I think
still
it's
waiting to melt
tonight,
this
into
weekend.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, so pretty jealous of people being on a boat in sunshine.
Yeah, I'm just seeing.
Looked like a lot of fun. I did think it was funny and a lot of good content.
Definitely a lot of good content. Tom Brady, I think the funniest one I saw a tweet was, well, first of all, I saw a goat on a boat. I thought that was funny, and then I saw. TB12. I saw TB turn. That made me laugh out loud because he was quite a little drunk. Got a little tips. But listen, if you won 7 Super Bowls, get away. I'd be like, get out of my face.
Tom Brady is truly living his best life. Yeah, Luann, I'm drinking.
And he said he was drinking avocado tequila in true Tom Brady, vegan fashion. He's not getting turned on Bud lattes, which Bruce Arians was. I did see him put back a couple Bud lattes. He was drinking avocado tequila. But again, 7 Super Bowls. You
drink whatever the hell you want.
Honestly, I don't even care. You could. I don't even know. But those are great questions. Yeah. Obviously, we did get one live too. Please send them in, as we're going tonight. But did want to touch on a couple of things prior to getting into our big stories of the week in football and Housewives. So big happy birthday.
I just think of Luann. Happy birthday. And Dorinda's like, Luann, but the happy birthday.
Happy birthday. So low man voice.
And she carries it out for 20 minutes.
So we have 3 giant birthdays. 2 were yesterday, and I believe 1 is today.
Yeah, 1's today.
So happy birthday to Mr. Sterling Shepard, Mr. Saquon Barkley, and Logan Ryan. I did find Logan Ryan's tweet yesterday very comical that him and Saquon both had the same number. They shared the same number, and they were both turning 24.
No, Logan turned 30.
I know.
So that was the joke.
He said, I love sharing a number with you.
He wishes. Fun fact, we are filming at Caitlin's parents' house right now, which is now the new home, has been for the last couple years, the hometown of Sterling Shepard. So maybe after the show, we should see if he's still having birthday cake and go Go wish him a happy birthday.
Phenomenal idea. I will be by his house tomorrow for my nephew's birthday. So they live really close to my brother and sister-in-law. And I've actually have seen his mother walk the babies on multiple occasions. And it's so funny because his mother is so young and looks so much like Sterling Shepard.
Yeah.
Every time that I've seen the mom, I always think it's is her name Chanel, the wife? I always think it's her because she's so young.
Let's bring over some birthday wine skis. Let's go have a drink with them.
Sterling Shepard, never watched, never coming. And then obviously, switching gears, a big, breaking sad news. We do have to say, rest in peace to Marty Schodenheimer, 77 years old, absolute legend in the NFL.
Yeah. So he battled Alzheimer's since 2014. That's a terrible, terrible disease that really just takes away your quality of life. It's heartbreaking. But yeah, absolute legend. Yeah. Absolute. He's a GOAT as well. Won 200 regular season games with 4 different teams across his career as a head coach, 8th winningest coach in NFL history. So losing an absolute legend there, and hate reporting the sad stuff.
No, so prayers out to
we can't not
his family's friends and the NFL community. Obviously, he touched so many lives within the NFL, football fans, players, coaches, things like that. So prayers out to everyone. And it's just that's the news that you definitely don't want to see as the days go on. So
yeah. All right, well, let's get into our big stories of the week in the world of football. And before we break down the Super Bowl and our thoughts on that, let's talk about kind of the buzz that's happening. And
there's buzz
and is going to be happening now that we are post NFL 2020 season. We're talking about the latest NFL quarterback trade rumors, and there's certainly been a lot swirling. I kind of almost expected us to have Deshaun Watson news, but things are quieting down there. And I think this is just going to be an ongoing thing, but that makes it fun for us to report and things to talk about. So this past week, Adam Schefter and Chris Mortensen, actually the big news was that they both reported that Philadelphia was openly trying to trade and still is trying to trade Carson Wentz in the coming days. Indianapolis and Chicago seem to be the two suitors and most likely destinations for Wentz. Latest I read today was that Chicago was kind of backing off a little bit because they felt that the Eagles were overvaluing Carson Wentz, which I could agree with possibly. Huge rumor came out a couple of days ago, which seems to have quieted down a bit, where it was going to be a swap of Carson Wentz for Nick Foles, Tariq Cohen, and a first rounder. So I think that could be what they're talking about. And that was
Wouldn't that be wild?
That was an over evaluation, and I don't know. Don't think that he's worth that.
Nick Foles back to the Eagles. See what he.
So it almost seems like maybe Indy's going to be the front runner now. Certainly Carson Wentz going to Indy would pair him back with head coach Frank Reich, who was in Philadelphia for Carson's first 2 seasons there. And as I said, buzz is dying down a little bit, but Philadelphia has already put their foot down and put that out there into the universe. So Houston, San Francisco are 2 other teams that have actually called about Wentz, kind of more so doing their due diligence just to see what can we work with here? Is it even worth our time to bother? You kind of if you are looking for a quarterback and you see names going out there, just call, because you got to see okay, are we going to be on the same page with what we value him at as what you value him? And if not, click, we're good. We'll move on. On Sunday, ESPN reported that the New York Jets have been fielding calls from teams interested in Sam Darnold. The Jets currently hold the number 2 draft pick, as we all know, and could potentially move on from Darnold because there's plenty of quarterbacks to go around, especially in the first round. We're seeing a lot of names pop in and out of mock drafts. And a source says they're still undecided on what to do, whether to move on from Sam Darnold or keep him. And apparently the organization is very split on that. That is always really tricky. It kind of reminds me of Philly, how it felt everybody was split on do we move forward with Jalen Hurts or do we stick with Carson Wentz? So that could not be good for an organization when it's you can't all get on the same page.
I don't know. I mean, the thing with Sam Darnold is that I was convinced, with the moves they made in the in this time frame, especially with the head coach, I thought that was kind of the sign that they were going to keep him and move forward with him in the organization.
And certainly Robert Saleh kind of said that a little bit when he was hired, that he was singing Sam Darnold's praises.
Yeah, and I think that's where my mind went when they made that, that decision. And I don't know. Listen, the Jets have a ton of cap space. So that's where these teams need to understand right now. You can, like you said, like the Niners and Houston can go and they can do their due diligence, the Colts, everything like that, teams that are looking. People are even throwing the Panthers into the mix, like you have said. But these teams need to understand that there is a cap space for a reason. Yeah. And these quarterbacks that are out there right now, you just saw a monster trade with Jared Goff and Matthew Stafford. You don't think Carson Wentz and Deshaun Watson and now Sam Darnold in the mix are going to be like, listen, yeah, you can trade me, but pay me.
Yeah,
you're paying me some, and now even Russell Wilson is in the mix of things now. It's a little. He comes to the mix
Seattle
every year.
Has been like, that's not happening. Seattle has come out and said that's not happening.
He will be like one of the biggest ones. He goes somewhere, you're paying him. He's looking for that big contract.
Absolutely.
So the Jets right now are really the only team in the mix that have that big salary cap, that space to really make moves. So in that sense, it makes sense. I know but for me, if I am the Jets, you have so many other gaps to fill, in my opinion. Why do you think you have so much cap space? Because who the hell's on your team?
Yeah, I certainly have wondered about Sam Darnold's full potential because I feel as though he's never had the offensive weapons to work with. So that's number one.
Maybe there's other places you can play instead of a quarterback.
I just think it's kind of funny that nobody would be having this discussion if the Jets had just went 0-16 and they knew they would be getting Trevor Lawrence. Like, this would not even be a conversation.
No.
So I find
there's still that wild rumor out there that the Jaguars are not going to take Trevor Lawrence.
They have to put that out into the universe just to like mess with everybody.
Well, they do.
Everybody knows what the deal is.
They do.
But if Sam Darnold were to be traded, potential interested teams could include, as we said, the Chicago Bears, Indianapolis Colts, San Francisco 49ers, and also a team that could be thrown into the mix looking for a quarterback potentially is the Washington football team.
Well, they did just extend what's his name's contract today.
Tyler Heineke. Yep.
2
years, I think.
Get played.
Yeah. I mean, it's not for nothing. Great backup. Great backup to have. Like
I don't know. It was a phenomenal move. Yeah.
And then the last one we have for you, and certainly not the only three quarterbacks that are, again, like Caitlin said, names are being sprinkled around. But barring a quote unquote ridiculous offer, Las Vegas head coach John Gruden said that they remain invested in Derek Carr as their quarterback, but they are interested in potentially trading away Marcus Mariota. And one article floated the idea of him going to the New England Patriots to become for the Patriots what Tannehill became in Tennessee with a resurrected career. That's certainly interesting.
I would not ever call and I know this is from sources, Tannehill's resurrected career.
I will. I feel good with saying
if you're going to say the words resurrected career, he's playing for the next 3 or 4 seasons on the Titans.
And I think, I don't think that's going to happen. No, I think he is. He definitely signed a pretty long deal. I don't know how many years, but I definitely, now that I saw it 2 years in a row, I kind of thought that last year was a little bit of a fluke, but Ryan Tannehill's, it wasn't just the team, his individual numbers, they're there. I will call that a resurrection.
I just need to see more. And I think Marcus Mariota obviously has more
what happened with his career definitely surprised me.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to give, I see other guys getting a longer shot at things than he did.
Yeah.
And that definitely surprised me a lot. But hey, it's fun to just speculate. And I think this is kind of an interesting speculation. And of course, New England is expected to part ways with Cam Newton. That was a 1-year deal. It didn't seem like it panned out for them.
No.
So New England is, probably going to be looking at the draft or to get in on one of these trades.
They're what? I think they're 15th in the draft.
15th.
Yeah.
And I said, we've seen a lot of Mac Jones in the mix there.
Don't kill me. Don't give me a heart attack. But I've actually seen Mac Jones going Well, yes, they think 5 quarterbacks are going to go in the first round. They think 4 consecutively, which will be
that would be insane.
It will be that will be history made. 4.
Yeah, we're looking at Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, Mac Jones, Trey Lance.
Yeah. So here's where, and I know we'll get into draft talk because it's already started. It's already giving me heartburn every day. And it's because I love it. Mac Jones just keeps getting thrown around, but then a lot of other Bama boys too. Some going to the Eagles, the Giants. Give me heartburn.
Mac Jones could go to Washington in the middle.
Stop. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Just stop. But basically, what I am concerned about is that they're so heavy on talking on the quarterback in 5 to go in the first round. Let's not forget, it wasn't so long ago that we had that heavy QB first round with people like Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, Josh Allen, Josh Rosen. We need to just pump the brakes.
But Lamar Jackson was the last pick in that first round.
I understand, but think about all those guys who panned out. Only a couple, and they thought they were all of them. Look at Josh Rosen. I want these guys.
The thing is, like, if it pans out, it pans out.
I know.
You've got your quarterback, and you have to roll. Sometimes you have to roll the dice on it because the payoff is huge. Like, if Josh Allen could be the Bills quarterback for the next 10 seasons, that payoff was huge.
No, I know. When I hear people talking about the hype of the quarterbacks and that 5 will go in the first round 4 consecutively for history, it flashes me back to that season.
Until the end of time, we will see first round bust quarterbacks until the end of time.
But that was like a special year where so many and they were like,
it was an exciting year, and this is another year like that.
So I want to make sure that it's right. It's right for everyone. Everyone has the right picks and everything like that.
I hear you.
And then it does bother me. And I'll probably do it as my get it off my chest one week soon. Like I seeing the Panthers in the mix for like all these trades and stuff pisses me off.
So apparently it came out too that they did get in on the mix with Detroit trying to get Matthew Stafford.
Stop it.
They just couldn't come to an agreement.
Matt Rule, you have to understand that Teddy Bridgewater is good. Just stick with him. Stop pissing me off. All right. So we are getting into our Super Bowl 55 recap. And it
Super Bowl snooze fest. Why don't you read us this comment here? Can you read that?
Yes. Watson to the Jets. Otherwise, Russell Wilson, Joe Douglas can get some great offensive linemen for cheap. That is fair. There are decent linemen out there right now.
Yeah.
Plug in any running back behind the new line and better than average wide receivers because new quarterback will have nothing but time.
Orlando Brown is a big name in the mix.
Yes.
Offensive lineman for the Baltimore Ravens, specifically wants to leave. I think, he normally plays right guard and they had him at left guard or vice versa. And he wants to go to a team where he can play his true position.
Listen, Giants Twitter hopped on that rumor real quick.
So that's going to be a big name to watch out for. That's going to be a coveted player.
Yeah, I think that's a great take. So thank you. Oh, it's someone in your real estate group or someone that you know from real
fellow
estate.
realtors. Cheers. Chin.
I won't take the credit on that one. Okay, we're going to this recap. So we did see the number 5 Tampa Bay Buccaneers defeat the number 1 Kansas City Chiefs. Was the score even 31-9? I couldn't even tell you.
Super Bowl snooze fest.
Again, you guys are
terrible.
If I'm going to stay up late, not even stay up late, all day is Super Bowl talk.
Think
you wake up and you're invested.
I think the thing that hurts the most about this game being bad is the expectations for this game being phenomenal. Like, I really thought this was going to be, your score prediction and my score prediction, high scoring both ends and
I told a lot of 4 points apart. I'm sorry if whoever listened to me betting. Well, I really put a lot of passion behind those numbers.
My husband said, if anybody went out there onto a betting app or whatever and bet before the game that the Kansas City Chiefs would not score a touchdown, how much money they would have won. Who would have ever imagined in your wildest dreams?
I'm going to start making stupid bets.
Defense wins championships, and I didn't listen to my own
gut
on that.
Truly won this championship. So
for
Tampa Bay led 21-6 at half, and I truly thought it was the Chiefs were going to come back because that's been their
MO.
It
never like
scares
people too much.
It wasn't. It wasn't scared. I was ready for a good second half. So their defense held Kansas City to 0 touchdowns. Obviously, like holy guacs, you couldn't even score 6 points. Get the hell out of here. And then Super Bowl MVP Tom Brady finished with 21 of 29 for 201 yards and 3 touchdowns, including 2 to Mr. Tight End Rob Gronkowski. Who would have thought they went back to back to Mr. Gronk? Yeah. Would you have thought it? Absolutely not. And I tweeted
that was another good bet to win some money on.
I tweeted that. I was like, oh, the first one, of course, it went to Gronk. Second one, who would have thunk it? Right back to Gronk there. So I can't honestly believe it. And obviously one to Antonio Brown. Who I think that was my tweet, actually. Yeah. Who would have thought Gronk and Antonio Brown scoring Super Bowl touchdowns? No, Are you kidding me?
No.
That would have been a bet before this season. Like, if because I'm counting this as 2020 still. Yeah. If you thought 2020 was weird, the NFL was like, listen, we completed a perfect season, but we're going to hand you 2020 on a platter and be like, here, hold my beer 2020. Here's the Super Bowl. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers stomped out the Kansas City Chiefs with Tom Brady as their quarterback. And guess who scored the touchdowns? For real. Gronk and Antonio Brown. But, oh my goodness, yeah. And then obviously Leonard Fournette, another trade that happened.
Postseason.
What are they calling him? Playoff Fournette.
Something like that. Yeah.
And I think he tweeted actually, I prefer something else, but it had to do with him playing very well in the playoffs.
He crushed it.
But another switch that happened obviously this season, going to just a great addition. Yeah. Obviously a great addition to that team. Rushed for 89 yards and 1 touchdown. Tampa Bay's defense sacked Patrick Mahomes 3 times and picked him off twice.
Which is super funny because last week on the show, I literally thought the game was going to come down to a battle of who was going to turn the ball over. And I was like, Patrick Mahomes doesn't throw interceptions. Tom Brady does. And we were so wrong. I was so wrong.
So completely wrong here. We do have some commentary here. So thought this was going to go 30 to 31. Oh, sorry, 38 to 31 bucks.
We had around similar.
Very much so. And then Fournette, obviously, and I honestly am blind as bad.
2 outcasts and a guy who was retired last year.
Yeah. I mean, hello. And then he targeted their 3rd tight end in the end zone too, I believe.
We were just talking about the resurrected career of Ryan Tannehill. Tom Brady personally himself helps people resurrect their careers or also helps no names become household names.
Literally, it's always the joke in New England that it was a Walmart cashier that Bill Belichick picked up. And, at the end of the day now, I might think Tom Brady picked that guy up because that's what he does. He brings people up. I mean,
even like somebody like Scotty Miller was like his little Wes Welker out there. Mm-hmm. Like he honestly gets everybody in the mix. It's it seems like a blessing to play with him.
Absolutely. And then a huge big factor here, Kansas City had 11 total penalties. I know a lot of people were saying that the refs really did put this game in Tampa's favor. Listen, you can take it either way. If you believe that, sure, that's fine. Apparently the female ref has a son named Brady. That has nothing to do with it. The people that came out and said that, the fact that you looked up her son's name, you have way too much time on your hands.
Leave her alone.
But that's like a conspiracy theory out there. Don't get hooked into the conspiracy theories. And then Tampa Bay only had 4. So not only are you solid on defense and you're making plays on offense, you are keeping the penalties low. That is key for teams. And I know that might sound silly right now, but when you listen to analysts week after week, how are teams going to win this game? You listen to us.
Play disciplined football.
You listen to us week after week. We never talk about keeping the penalties low. And that is so crucial because how many times, and I think it was 2 seasons ago, the Giants were like the kings of penalties. And it was so frustrating. Maybe when Eric Flowers was on our team. Yeah. And he got a holding call every play.
Pretty much.
It adds up and it's so frustrating. And the Giants were losing games because of it.
I mean, listen, those 11 penalties, that was over 100 plus yards of penalties. I mean, we're not calling that a factor in the game for nothing. That really was a big time factor in this.
It hands down, like if you want to like point, like how did they lost on many levels. That is a factor of why they lost 100%. To a team, again, if the other team had 11 penalties too, maybe you can't really include that, but Tampa only had 4.
We have some calls were questionable, but in no way caused the Chiefs to lose. I can agree with that. I looked up the Chiefs penalty stats. They are known for their defensive holds and pass interferences. Yeah. I think I was just
they are PIs. Yes, I knew that.
I think I was just 100%. A little bit more surprised in I feel like in
Tyrann Mathieu got called on a lot.
I feel like in really important games, Super Bowl playoffs, I feel as though sometimes they either call it really evenly or they kind of let you play a little bit.
Yeah.
And I felt as though neither one of those happened.
What playoff game? I think the Ravens. I don't know who the Ravens are playing.
It's either you're really gonna both teams are really gonna be handsy and you're both gonna call it on both of them, or they're gonna be really handsy and you're just gonna be like, we're gonna let it slide and we're just gonna call it even and we're gonna let them play.
Well, I'm trying to think of what playoff game it was this season, and if you're watching and you know, it was the Ravens against a certain team, and it was a very aggressive game. No, I don't think it was that one, but they weren't calling anything. And then I think in the second half it turned and they started calling things. But you kind of want that first one where it's like, all right, it's playoff football. It's aggressive. Like you want to see what's going on. So
there were some calls that I just wish they, like I said, let them play. And obviously there's 11 of them. So some of them were obviously understandable. But yeah.
So Tom Brady now has 7 Super Bowl wins, and he individually has more than any team, like any franchise record. So he's up against the Steelers. You know, he's up against these big time teams that have X amount of Super Bowl wins. Guess what? Tom Brady's got 7, which is just unheard of. And then this is Tampa Bay's 2nd Super Bowl win, and they got their first win in 2002. So I think it's so funny. I saw the funniest thing, and I think it was on NFL memes, and you know we love them. And it was basically like people like now having to admit that Tom Brady is like the GOAT. You could have admitted that, you know. No, I've actually
Super Bowl wins.
I actually have been very much so like I'm big into like the Joe Montanas of the world. Like I'm very much so into like the old school players because I think the NFL was different back then.
Yeah.
So you had a lot more to play for, a lot tougher. So I do take that into account. And the meme was funny because it was like a video from like the WWE. It was like Vince McMahon. It was like I like you, but like F you, like that. I thought it was hilarious, but I am on that boat now. So I think I can admit that he is the GOAT. And he is very talented, and it pains me. But now he's on a team that, whatever. Like, I mean, we could face them now in a NFC championship.
Yeah, so. I think I was there. Like 2 Super Bowls ago for Tom Brady.
Maybe I needed to see.
And it was Joe Montana. It was like okay when and I think like 2 Super Bowls ago, I was like okay, he has surpassed it. And what we are seeing, I don't think it will ever be replicated.
I really
don't. So, and one of the other crazy things that I saw too is Tom Brady has now won a Super Bowl in the last 3 decades, which is insane.
Well, they said that I saw something too that you can chop up his career into 3 sections, and he is a Hall of Famer in all 3 of those sections. Yeah, separated now. Which is
remember, we talked recently on the show about how he said that we were kind of speculating how long he would play for, and he specifically said he wanted to play until his mid-40s, like 45, and then he just came out a couple of days ago and said, I think I want to potentially play past 45.
Yeah.
So like unbelievable.
Holy guacs. We do have a little bit of a tiff on our Instagram. We do have our friend Kevin, who is a Green Bay Packers fan. So obviously a little salty there. They didn't call any play in Green Bay Buccaneers until the last play to give Brady the win. I guess he's calling out the refs. Yeah. And then someone else saying Rodgers could have ran the ball. Probably could have. So we did. I called that out. I could have ran the ball in that game. So I love that. I love when our fans get into little tiffs.
We did both agree with that. We felt as though Rodgers had that opening. For whatever reason, didn't take it.
I could have run and made it, and I would die.
Eli could have ran it, and we no Eli's not running.
I did. Speaking of Eli Manning, there is Fox, maybe it's like the NFL on Fox tweeted out, and they put like tiered, I guess, quarterbacks by I guess accountability or reliability and things like that, and all the stats underneath it. Eli made it in tier 2. Only one person made it in tier 1. I think it was John Montana. Okay. And then in tier 2 is Eli and some other old guy. I'm blanking on who it is, so like don't come at me on this one.
Yeah.
And everyone, so someone from Giants,
reliable, baby.
Someone tweeted out on Giants Twitter like, "Oh, how many people are gonna go like crazy about this?" And I tweeted out, I was like, honestly, knowing that so many grown adults will lose sleep over this over the next couple of weeks makes me very happy.
Makes you sleep.
Go cry. The Eli haters come out to play.
Yeah,
they come out at night. The freaks come out at night.
Well, what a season! Oh my God, we're going to talk about football a little bit later. I had to plug
my laptop in. What does that say? 50 minutes, we're good. So we can't just can't go on for the next 50 minutes.
We are going to talk about football a little bit later on. What are we talking about? Oh, we're doing a little bit of a 2020 recap. Oh my goodness, we got another football comment. Hold on before we jump to Housewives. It's quarterbacks like Tom Brady that has that little extra skill or IQ, and why he has 7 Super Bowl rings and Roger has 1. I mean, Rodgers has 1. I think guys like Tom Brady, and I want to lump Peyton Manning in there too, are just so meticulous to their craft. They're big time studiers. These are the guys that wake up and they're in the facilities at 5 a.m. and they're studying film. And I just think they look at it like an art form almost, and like, we're going to be the utmost professional, and we're going to cross all our T's, dot all our I's. And
it's almost like you want to give them another craft to master to see if they can, because it's like they're so dedicated to this one. Like, obviously Peyton's good on TV, but it's like, whatever, like you want to see like something else. Like, can you do Chinese checkers, or can you do chess? Like, can you do something else, or like teach a biology class, something like that. Like, I'm trying to pick up so many random things right now. Become a doctor. Like,
I don't know what is specifically holding Rodgers back from getting over that hump.
Yeah. Maybe it's his attitude that he sucks.
Listen, I'm very surprised that guys like Drew Brees and Aaron Rodgers only have 1 Super Bowl ring.
Yeah.
But Tom Brady is obviously proven that he's in a class of his own.
Yeah, so for sure. All right, we'll circle back. Don't you worry.
Yes. Our game is going to be another kind of recap of the 2020 season, but let's get into the world of Housewives, our big stories of the week. This first one comes with Orange County. And obviously this has been a franchise that's been dicey lately, and people are unhappy with it.
Cancel RHOC.
Yeah, it's a big deal, obviously, because it's the OG franchise.
Yes.
But we do have a former Orange County housewife speaking out on her thoughts about this, all the rumors swirling. Tamra Judge, she spoke this past week with Us Weekly and discussed how she does not want Orange County to end for good amid rumors that they could completely recast the show or possibly even cancel it, which would be just crazy. She said she doesn't know if she'd ever be asked back, and that a lot of discussions would have to take place for her to return. She said she's not dying to go back, but said it depends on the cast. I do have a quote from her in regards to that. She said, if it's a good cast, then yeah, but if it's a really bad cast, it can really change things and make it not fun and not worth the stress. But I mean, I would love to see Heather Dubrow come back.
Same.
I would like to come back with Heather and get rid of some of the people that are currently on the show that just have been played out. Okay.
I don't know. Like, you just like wipe everyone? Yes. And bring Heather back. That's it.
Yeah. And then Tamra, she joined Orange County. I always forget that she was not on that
She's
first
not
season,
original.
right?
No.
She just felt like she was there forever. She did join Orange County in season 3. She announced her departure from the series ahead of season 15. When it was revealed that Bravo tried to demote her to a part-time role. I guess she was not having that. And Andy Cohen, in regards to all of these rumors swirling, has spoken out in regards to next season and has spoken in favor of a revamping. But when somebody mentioned the word cancel, he was basically like, cancel, ?
Yeah.
How about like a reboot? Like,
reboot.
So,
I think they need to boot.
I don't know. I mean, do you completely wipe out the cast and start over?
I say yes.
Because it's so drastic to where people are like, okay, you're either going to revamp or cancel it. So instead of canceling it, maybe it does need to be a severe.
I think I do. I think it needs to be a wipe. Because oh my God, these women, they're so annoying. They're so controversial. And I know that sounds like silly. Maybe some people are like on this are like hate cancel culture. Like I hate cancel culture too. But like some of these women, like Kelly Dodd's like not okay. Like Bronwyn's not okay. Like their story, you want it for the story, but like in reality, like they're not okay. Like, these people are like so like not well. They really aren't. And not in a not well be that like you want to listen to them and follow them and make fun of them with your friends. Like, no, it's not. And it sucks. Like, no. So you can't, it's embarrassing to Bravo that this is their OG housewives.
And that this is what they're coming to, and this is what people are, some people are wishing for.
No, revamp it. Bring Heather Dubrow back. That's it.
Yeah, you can't give up on it.
Let her be like the queen bee when everyone comes back.
You can't give up on it, for sure. I agree with that.
Revamp it. Yeah. Just revamp. Clean house. Take it from like any corporate America company. You can clean house. Do that.
Yeah. Agreed.
You can clean house. It's fine. Alrighty. Also, speaking of a former cast member, which Katie and I have to get used to calling her former. Because obviously, Miss Dorinda Medley is. Oh my God, I don't want to talk about it. I'm very sad right now. She does reflect on Real Housewives of New York, also known as Roni, and how she misses it. Oh, we miss you too. We miss everything about it.
I feel fortunate that Roni does have a solid cast, and when.
It's still just going to be so weird.
Yeah, but think about when they lost Bethany. Like, as much as that hurt and as big as that was, like, they were always going to be okay.
Remember when I was alone and abandoned when Bethany... Sorry, I was on my honey.
Sorry.
I'll never let you.
It makes you feel better. I cried in a hot tub in Thailand.
You know what? I don't care. Katie was selfishly on her honeymoon in Thailand when I was alone in Morris Plains, New Jersey, when Bethany left.
When she left us.
I will never let
Katie left me and Bethany left me.
It was an awful week. 2 weeks because you were gone for 2 weeks. It was very awful. Okay, so on Thursday, former Roni cast member Dorinda Medley spoke with US Weekly on. So these are actually both from US Weekly. So thanks for giving us the.
I always call it Us Weekly.
Is it Us Weekly?
Yeah.
I think US Weekly is like an actual like. Probably like a real news.
A real news.
Us Week, US. Us Week has got like pink, all this stuff, like fluff. But yes, thank you. So they deliver actually like the good goods. Yeah. It's not like fake news. So Us Weekly on life post Housewives, which we have been getting some intel via social media.
Yeah, a little bit.
Admitted to missing the show and how she felt. She felt she was a great housewife. I mean, we agree. Like, you were a great housewife, and who always brought it. I love that in quotation marks. I love it.
She did straight up how responsible she was for some of the greatest housewives one-liners in history
of all time. But we do obviously have to shout out Meredith from Salt Lake City.
That one.
Her quote is that she's disengaging.
Yeah.
Caitlin and I made it no longer engaging.
Caitlin and I made it a 2021 goal to actually use that in real life.
I do
when it presents itself.
But we want to use it so I use it with my boyfriend like every day when he says something like snarky or that makes me mad. I go, I'm disengaged. And for a while, he had no idea where it was coming from. And I sent him this
combo was great, but I'm disengaged.
But we want to use it like in a real, like if someone like pisses us off, we're in like a tip. So like when COVID's over and like we're out like at a club or like a bar, like
maybe it'll happen like when we can finally go to Giants games and tailgate. Maybe there will be like
a
another
fight.
Team will
be I'm disengaging. But thank you, Meredith, for that. Yeah. Because we obviously use not well beat every day.
Yes.
It's a common. It's a household quotation.
Yeah.
But okay, so Dorinda announced her departure from Roni in August and then revealed 2 months later that she wasn't given the option to return for season 13, but she has been grateful for more at-home time and time spent at Bluestone Manor. I know during COVID, she did send a lot of pics around that, doing a lot of renovations, things like that. And then also there is a quote on the back, the quote on the back, I'm reading literally directly from the outline. We do a quote from her. So Dorinda said, "My mother said to me when the whole thing happened with Housewives, sometimes God does for you that what you cannot do for yourself. And it's been a blessing to have the time off because every once in a while, it's important to stop, think, a reset, think, regroup. Because we get lost, right? Lost in whatever this is, Housewives fame. The city wants, desires, it was really just nice just to a kind of reset and find Dorinda again. So very emotional quote there. I think it looks like she got deep in her feelings.
I think it's kind of what I get from it is that had Bravo not like if she had been given the opportunity to come back, I think she would have.
Yeah.
And would it have been good for her? I don't think so. I think the way she left in her last season, like we were getting a really dark place for Dorinda. So I think it was for the best. And sometimes when you have no option and this just is what it is and this is served to you the way that it is, it's just like, okay, I'm going to accept it and move on. And I think, this was just meant to be.
Yeah. We do have on Instagram, one of my former coworkers, his wife is watching, and she said, Mike says, hi, hello to both you, Debbie and Mike.
Hi, Debbie.
It's good because Debbie loves Housewives, so you can watch this. And Mike, we are getting back into football in like 5 seconds. So you could switch the phone over to Mike.
Perfect.
But yeah, so she also said that she has no hard feelings about how it ended, and her friendships and her castmates have remained intact and everything like that. And just, Andy Cohen checks it on everyone. So I love that.
You know what I love, and it goes further into this article, is Dorinda says, the friendships that I have with my castmates, they're very much so real. So
we've always said that.
We have always said what makes Roni kind of superior over some of the other franchises is that, number one, the drama, there's always going to be Housewives drama. But I love when they have their drama, they just like get drunk and laugh it off. And they're like, love you, bitch, whatever. Yeah. I hate you, but I love you.
Yeah.
And they get over it. And you can tell.
Like our true friends.
And in the reunions, as draining as the reunions are, you can easily tell that the Roni girls are friends. And by the end of it, they're like, all right, let's go get a drink. Like, let's go out.
Yeah, so Dorinda is not coming back for this season. Yeah. So she did leave, and then it was saying that she was asked not to come back. So very questionable there. And then who is Michelle? I don't know who that is.
Michelle Pius. Is she in New Jersey? Because the Marge said no. Michelle Pius, honestly, I could actually speak on this, being a real estate agent in this area. Michelle Pius is actually a big-time real estate agent in the area. And I think she is being introduced. She is coming on this season. Okay. I guess definitely not as a main cast member, but as a friend.
She'll be a friend.
I don't know how much we will see of her, but interesting enough, she did recently relist. She was Teresa's listing agent when she tried to sell her house, and apparently maybe going to come up on this season if you obviously also follow real estate. But
follow our real estate podcast.
Teresa actually ended up terminating that contract with Michelle Pius and relisted her house now with a different real estate agent.
Katie, you
that's always drama llama. So
Katie is going to start her own real estate podcast. You and Christopher should do that.
Housewives and real estate. We're going to dish the goods.
My brother should do that with Katie. I don't know if he's watching. He usually watches on Facebook every Wednesday, but definitely get in there. So yes, that was good intel there. All right.
Game time. And
people, you guys ready for a game?
I am ready. This is a good one. This is, kind of recapping 2020, taking a look at the majority of the teams, almost all the teams in the NFL. I think all of them. The game is called You Are What Your Record Is. And that's actually a question mark, though. We'll explore that.
They're wondering how we get the tea to spill on the show. Well, Katie is a real estate.
Yeah. That was inside.
And then
inside New Jersey.
Any other tea is like me on social media. Like, finding out. So there's no real.
We're going to get more tea when we go to Sterling Shepard's house after this to celebrate his birthday.
We are. So he's probably watching like,
we will report.
Call the North Carolina police. Don't let these girls in my house.
Oh my God. Okay, so the game. You are what your record is. With the NFL season officially over, most football journalists are giving their end of the season power rankings. But instead, we're going to look at things a little bit differently. We're going to look at the teams that had the same exact matching records this season and determine in those
like,
groups, those groups, who was the best, and sometimes we're going to say who was the worst of the bunch. We're bunching them together. So question number 1, who was the best 12-14 this season? We have 3 of them: New Orleans, the Pittsburgh Steelers, or the Seattle Seahawks.
For me, I have to go with consistency on this one. Okay. So what I mean by that is that it just like
Pittsburgh fell off the map at the end, right? Is that what you were going to say about consistency?
Well, yes. Maybe I wasn't really looking towards the end because I did pick that. They did fall off.
Like I thought that's what you were going to say.
Maybe let's nix the playoffs.
Okay.
That's what I was really looking at. Because throughout the season, the Seahawks, it was their defense sucks. It was always brought up. It didn't matter how well they played that game. Defense sucks. They played teams like the Giants. We shut them out completely. Russell Wilson was a no person. I got to hook my laptop up, I think, because we are battery low. And then you have, the New Orleans Saints. They had so many injuries. Even Drew Brees went out for a little. It's just like so many. So I just think just like consistency. Like that's what I kind of meant. Like that's what I went with Pittsburgh for that.
Okay.
And maybe that's a little confusing now that I spoke about it.
That's funny. I thought that's totally like you were going to go the opposite way.
You keep talking. So
I will. Okay, so I actually surprised myself, and I had like a first initial thought of who I was going to pick, did a little bit more research, and decided to go with the New Orleans Saints. Although Pittsburgh had a monster defense this season, New Orleans was more solid on both sides of the ball, finishing in the top 5 for points per game in offense, and also top 5 for defensive points per game allowed. And to me, Caitlin brought up the injuries, and that's why I'm going to say I thought it was even more impressive that the Saints were able to do so without Michael Thomas for the majority of the season, banged up Drew Brees, and that's why specifically I'm giving them the nod, because they still prove themselves to be a dangerous team, and that was with a hurt team to their major stars. So I'm going with New Orleans on that one.
All righty.
Okay, number 2. Who is the best 11-5 team? And I'm going to exclude the Super Bowl winning Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They were 11-5 instead, and there were 5 teams total that finished 11-5. I mean, that's pretty big. We had a lot of great teams this year. So we're going to look at 4 and see who the best was: the Baltimore Ravens, the Cleveland Browns, Indianapolis Colts, or Tennessee Titans. This is a hard one.
It definitely was. And I want to immediately nix out the Cleveland Browns because they
would be my last.
They were too hot and cold for me. Okay. And then I really looked at Tennessee and Baltimore, and I'm a huge Tennessee fan. And then Baltimore, I kind of looked at them start to finish. And then, Indianapolis came into it. Mm-hmm. And then when I really looked down at the roster and what were being produced out of their camps and things like that, and not camps by I meant their franchise.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Indianapolis. I'm going to go with the Colts.
Girl, I'm going with Indianapolis too. Most consistent
Good team.
Most consistent, again, on both sides of the ball. Mm-hmm. They were the only team out of the 4 that we had to choose from that finished as a top 10 offense and a top 10 defense. To me, that sealed it for me of who I was going to pick.
Sealed the deal.
Number 3, which 8-8 team? Now we're looking at a 500 team. These teams did not make the playoffs. So which 8-8 team has the best chance to make the playoffs next year? The Arizona Cardinals, Chicago Bears, or Las Vegas Raiders?
Who even are the Las Vegas Raiders? I couldn't even tell you. Honestly, the fact that I have to wake up every morning and remind myself that Derek Carr is their quarterback and Marcus Mariota is their backup. I don't know what's going on
Love
there.
Josh Jacobs.
Oh, well, I obviously love Josh Jacobs, Bama boy, and gets me a lot of fantasy points. But they have no identity for me. Chicago, totally questionable. So at the end of the day, it's got to go off this season. Arizona, I know we are going off this season, but I think the Cardinals are on the trajectory to potentially do better and go to the playoffs. They're in a hard division. We know that.
Yeah. But it's funny because I'm going off of this season, but I'm also really going off of what's next season going to look like, because that's the question. Yeah. Who can make the playoffs? I went with the Cardinals. I said I believe in this team the most out of the 3 regardless.
I agree.
But Arizona also finished 3rd in their division, while Las Vegas and Chicago finished 2nd, meaning they should face easier opponents. Right. Chicago has the third hardest schedule next year. Las Vegas has the seventh hardest, and Arizona is probably. No, and Arizona is tied for the 15th hardest. So they will have the easier schedule. And even though they do play in that tough division, their opponents aren't as bad as Chicago and Las Vegas. And I just like this team better than those two anyways. Mm-hmm. Number 4, which 7-9 team, again, this is the same question, which 7-9 team has the best chance to make the playoffs next year? Chargers, Vikings, Patriots, Redskins.
I'm going to go with the Chargers on this one. You have a young quarterback who just won Offensive Rookie of the Year with Mr. Justin Herbert. You had a head coach change, which, some people might have questioned, might not. It might be a good thing. And I just think they're a team up and coming. And Minnesota and New England just totally shocked me this year that it's like, I don't know if the bounce back can be that big next year. It's harder to bounce back, in my opinion, than to grow.
You know that I love the Chargers, not love the Chargers, but I really have belief in them for next year. I really, really do. But I actually went with Minnesota. Okay. It was close for me, but question mark for New England at quarterback. Same for Washington. I said, love the Chargers, but they would have to get a wild card spot probably because Kansas City will probably win that division.
Yeah, which is definitely doable though for them though. So.
I think that's a little bit more, and of course it's going to be hard for Minnesota too because Green Bay will be the front.
Look how many years they made it with Philip Rivers as their quarterback.
But I believe maybe I'm just gotta keep kicking myself that I keep giving faith to that Vikings team.
I do too. I had a lot of faith in them. They've been
letting me down. I picked them so many weeks.
I keep picking Kirk Cousins as my backup fantasy quarterback. I know he's only been there a couple of years, but I never play him.
All right, now we're getting to the lower records here. So, which 6-10 team has the best chance to go above 500 next year? We have. This is an interesting little group here. The Dallas Cowboys, the New York Giants, or the San Francisco 49ers.
I think obvious one here is the Niners. Yeah. Obviously, they were hit with the injury bug this year, but I am not being biased here. I'm very pleased with how the Giants turned their season around, and I do see a lot of talent coming out of that locker room. I see a lot of strength and determination from Joe Judge. He obviously has the locker room.
Yeah, they definitely have the head coach in place.
We have a pretty good draft order this year. We actually have some cap space to make some moves. And I'm actually going to I'm going with both the Giants and the San Francisco 49ers. I went in 2 for here, and then Dallas, I don't think it's possible.
I went with San Fran. I said they will get healthy. They won't return to Super Bowl form, but they should compete for the playoffs.
Yeah, and above 500 for the Giants doesn't mean anything crazy, people, but I'm just saying, I think it's doable.
Okay, so number 6, who is the worst 5-11 team? The Carolina Panthers, Denver Broncos, or Detroit Lions?
The Lions, they're so bad. The Lions.
I'm
sorry. It's the fact that they were 5-11 is you should go to bed feeling good at night.
Yeah. So they were dead last. Really? They were dead last in yards allowed and points allowed. And the offense obviously wasn't too impressive either.
So bad. You're so bad.
Yeah. Okay. Number 7. Who is the worst? And I grouped these together because we have teams that finished 4-12 and we have 2 teams that finished 4-11-1. And I'm grouping that together. So who was the worst?
Looking at you, Philly.
And Cincinnati.
Oh, yes.
Both of them. Who was the worst 4-12 or 4-11-1 team? Cincinnati, Philadelphia, Atlanta, or Houston?
So I'm looking at this from an entire franchise level. A record, I guess, understands play and everything. But
the shit show that happened.
Houston,
I thought you were going to say Philly.
No, well, they are a shit show too. But Houston, just end to end this season, you were just worst top to bottom.
Their head coach at the very beginning,
who was also your GM.
Who you should have just fired before that season even started.
You traded DeAndre Hopkins and thought that would be okay, and you did nothing still with Deshaun Watson. I honestly think that, and to play it off, Philly came out and played some strong games, even though it was 4 wins and a tie. So it's you don't really know what's going on there. Cincinnati lost Joe Burrow. I'm not putting this against
I canceled them out of this conversation
and then Atlanta,
because they played played every game close with Joe Burrow.
And then Atlanta, why? They're just shady. You are talented. You have the talent. You are not bad. But you want people to think you're bad. Why?
The weirdest team.
So for me, that was Houston. I know it's crazy, but it's them.
I want to note that this was extremely close for me. Unbiased. I'm always unbiased. Extremely close between Philly and Houston.
Yeah.
And I ended up going with Philly because of the fact that I think they play in an easier division. So I feel as though their record should have been better considering that they were playing Dallas, Washington, and the Giants. So I will say that Houston is slightly better. And I also feel as though, like, if you statistically look at Philly's offense, it was bad, but I want to take out when Jalen Hurts kind of brought their stats up a little bit towards the end.
Yeah.
If you just look at the stats from when Carson Wentz was your quarterback, that was the most uninspiring offense. And the Giants were uninspiring too, but that offense was awful.
Bad.
So you can't win football games if you can't score points. And that was bad. So I went with Philly.
True.
All right, number 8. What team at the bottom of the barrel will be better next year? The 2-14 New York Jets or the 1-15 Jacksonville Jaguars?
I think the Jaguars.
Huge asterisk on this question. Can you even answer it? Because it completely and utterly depends on the quarterback position. Are the Jets going to stick with Darnold, or could they get somebody like Deshaun Watson, which would clearly, put them to whatever? Trevor Lawrence. I said realistically, I think that Jacksonville will have Trevor Lawrence, and I think realistically the Jets will keep Sam Darnold. So I'm taking Jacksonville.
Well, yeah. So I think, and I do like that you bring up that quite with that huge asterisk, and I think it makes sense. But where I'm coming into play with this is that I mentioned this earlier, like. The Jets have all this cap space because they have no one on their team. Jacksonville actually has people on their team. If they're utilizing them,
I feel like they have enough, though.
You got to look into it in a little more detail, but maybe are they utilizing them properly? I don't know. But for me, I think that they're going to just do better, whether it's one game or two, they're going to do better next year.
I do like Robert Saleh over Urban Meyer.
100%. I agree with that.
So that will
Robert Saleh, though, moving on from Sam Darnold and kind of making a weird change. I don't know.
But I'm just saying, like, we could put a huge asterisk not only on what's going to happen with the quarterbacks, but also how are the head coaches going to
do. Yeah.
So
a lot comes into play there.
Yeah. Okay, and the last one, what team at the top of the barrel will be the best next year? The 14-2 Kansas City Chiefs, 13-3 Buffalo Bills, or 13-3 Green Bay Packers?
Ooh. So I am sticking with my guns on the Buffalo Bills. And here's why. And I'm not just being, my little self of like, oh, they're going to be good. Green Bay is Green Bay. They're going to come out on top probably.
Be a playoff team
for sure. A while, until Aaron Rodgers. We don't know what's going to happen there, whatever. Kansas City, I think this Super Bowl loss actually will be really hard for them to bounce back from. Mm-hmm. This season was sketchy, not because of COVID, because the teams were just sketchy. Well, maybe because of COVID, because we didn't have camp, we didn't have preseason, things like that. The Chiefs had some sketchy games this year, and we pointed that out on many occasions, and we pointed that out going into the Super Bowl. There were faults there. We saw faults within the franchise during that game, for sure.
Still 14-2, so even
I'm not gonna
the faults are like nitpicking.
But you're at a 13-3 Buffalo Bills that is thriving and are really up and coming. Mm-hmm. And I just think that next year, top of the barrel will be one of the best.
I wanted to pick Buffalo for this, and it could very well happen. The only thing I need on my end is to see Buffalo do it 2 years in a row. As long as I see you do it 2 years in a row, then I know that you are solid. Yeah. And that's why I'm going with Kansas City specifically. And of course, Green Bay does this as well, but I have more faith in Kansas City. When you show that you can do it consistently, and I was talking about this today in my office and made that point. Somebody said, well, they've really only done it for like 2-3 seasons. I said, yeah. But it gets escalated because those 2 seasons, they were in the Super Bowl and they won one of them. Yep. So it's not like just being a playoff team 2 years in a row. You were a Super Bowl team 2 years in a row. As soon as I see Buffalo do that, and I think they totally could, then I will feel comfortable saying that for them.
All right. I think that's fair. Alrighty, well, that was definitely a fun game looking
Yes.
back at the season and
Oh my
actually
God,
seeing
so
how
good.
similar the records were up
Yeah.
and down, AFC, NFC, everything like that.
Mhm.
And yeah, very sad the season's over. Ah, crying. That could be both of our get it off our chest, which is what we're talking about next. It is get it off our chest. Positive, negative, football, housewives, wine, life, anything. So why don't you go ahead and kick us off? And I think we're starting off on a negative level.
We are. I told you guys I was going to save this. I was going to save it for a rainy day.
Save it for a rainy day. See, now she's getting
Put it in your pocket.
She's getting into the singing, and she made fun of me. And
that's a good one though. That's like a grammar elementary school one. It's a group sing. Group sing.
God, did you guys have? That should be one of our topics for today. Did you guys have group sing? Group sing was when
filled my heart.
The whole we
the
went
whole
to
entire school.
Okay, yeah, but I think people need to understand that
like
our
200
schools
people.
were different. So we went to school kindergarten to third grade, and then fourth to sixth. We did group sing kindergarten to third.
Yes.
So
everybody got in the gymnasium, and you would all learn the same songs in music class, and we'd all sing them together.
But
Beautiful.
How beautiful. How inspiring is that? Like inspired.
You guys will never know unless you have group sing.
We'll do a whole episode on that because I can't. There's songs I still remember that one.
I know. AKA, I just sang.
I can't.
Okay, so that was positive. This is going to my negative. I said I was going to save it for a rainy day, with Jen Shaw, Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. I know Caitlin is almost fully caught up, so I feel so I can speak on this.
No, it's okay. You can go.
And I want to do like the comparison. I feel like it's the best way to do it is my hate for Jen Shaw. So I want to compare it to my hate for Siggy Flicker, who was a former Jersey girl, and my hate for Jennifer Aiden, who's also a Jersey girl, who I want to say I really don't hate anymore.
No, you don't.
But season 1, when Jennifer came in, her first season with New Jersey, I hated her because I thought she was so snobby and so like arrogant. Look at my money, look at my money, look at my money. So that's why I hated her. I hated Siggy because and I know Siggy was like, you could tell she was a good person at her core, but I didn't like how emotional and crybaby and loud, and so that's why I didn't like her. I feel like those two reasons of not liking someone is not as bad as why I don't like Jen Shaw. Jen Shaw, I don't like her because she is a straight up psycho.
Oh, yeah.
She is a psycho. She 100% needs professional help.
Oh, yeah.
I think as much, and I love her husband. He's been on the show. He seems darling. Like he seems super sweet.
Football coach.
And she complains all season long about how it's tough for her that he's gone constantly. Let me tell you something, Jen Shaw. It might be good that your husband's gone constantly because I think if he were around you 24/7, you guys would have been divorced years ago.
That's probably why he likes you.
Yeah, like he can only take you in
doses. I have heard
he can only take you in
marriages, though.
But somebody like Jen Shaw, like you can only take that person in doses. So she just has a history, and they play the receipts on the most recent episode of her getting in fights with the women and running off in an angry tirade from every event that they've had this season. Apparently she's going to do it again at the reunion. And I think it just proves the point of, you can kind of feel towards the end and previewed in the reunion that it's the women versus Jen. And they're not trying to gang up on her. No. It's just the fact of like, you haven't given us the reason to support you or like you. Like, that's how shitty you are. So I feel like not liking someone because they're a little bit showboaty, not liking someone because they're too emotional, or not liking someone because you're just an evil person, you take the cake, Jen Shaw.
Wow. I could definitely agree with you on that one for sure. I do have one episode left, and I know the reunion is tonight, and we'll give you all the details so you don't miss it. But I've just been so shocked with, like, as I've been catching up and texting Katie, like how just like
I've been like waiting for her to catch up, and she's like texting me as she's watching. I was like, I know.
I mean, definitely, definitely since like the first episode, I don't think I've been like a total fan of hers, but I just it
gets worse and worse and worse and worse.
And I think the one episode, like maybe like, you know, she got, you know, very drunk, so she got, you know, so people were like, you know, a little crazy lunatic. But this like last episode that I personally watched, like it was completely sober. And it just stems out of nothing. Her anger stems out of absolutely nothing.
It's very scary.
And it is scary. She hit the one girl. She smacked her. But still, I'd be like, don't touch me. And
use the quote to Whitney, if you don't take my side, I will drown you in the lake behind your house.
She said that.
She said that
to her, okay, well, that's scary. I don't want that. I watch these episodes from two people that don't like confrontation, and I literally just sit on my couch and kind of just
you would disengage so hard.
I would walk away.
So hard.
There's been so many moments where I've been out prior to COVID, at bars or at parties where friends have gotten in altercations or people you see in a distance. I have secondhand embarrassment. Strangers getting into fights, and I'm I can't deal with this. I don't even know them. I can't.
So hard.
I hate I get secondhand embarrassment. I watched this the last episode I watched in particular. I got into a shell because a turtle. I was I don't want to be here anymore. I don't.
When as much as the reunions are a little bit dreadful, I think our favorite part is when people get called out on their bullshit.
I can't wait.
And I cannot wait for this woman to get called out on her bullshit.
Yeah. Well, I think that was a great get it off your chest. And again, the reunion is tonight, so I think, and a lot of people feel your way as well. Yeah. So it's not. It's very crazy. So I don't know. Maybe I'll dig up some receipts and see who thinks she's okay, because those people, you probably should see someone as well. All right. So I am up, and I actually do have some receipts here. So
I forgot what you were doing.
Let me pull them up. So mine is football related, and I'm actually siding with someone maybe that we've sided with him before. Okay. So, I am going after the Dallas Cowboys organization. Yeah. But I am siding with Mr. Dak Prescott. And obviously this year was very, prior to the injury, the horrific injury he had, we talking about contracts and paying him and things like that. And Katie and I came on week after week of
deserves to be paid,
just pay him, things like that. Listen, the kid got hurt this season, and halfway through his injury, he still had more stacks than every other NFC East quarterback. And we're in on that. Our quarterback was doing worse than him. This kid was hurt. His leg was not on his body in a hospital. So what I am bringing up tonight is that the Dallas Cowboys released a 2021 hype video.
Too soon.
Also, way too soon. But that's just the Dallas Cowboys. Go figure. They think they're winning the Super Bowl next year. Literally, you have your players current. You have players from past. So Troy Aikman's in it. A bunch of other old people school in it. Guess who's on in it? Dak Prescott. He is nowhere to be found in this hype video. You have Zeke in there. You have someone like Amari Cooper. And I am a Bama fan.
Yeah.
End to end. I love Amari Cooper. The Cowboys don't use Amari Cooper. They traded for him and they don't do anything with him. So Dak Prescott is nowhere to be found in this video. Mm-hmm. So there's obviously speculation. There's conspiracy theories, whatever. So where I'm just talking about this right now, I don't think Jerry Jones approves marketing, material.
Probably not.
It doesn't go to the owner of the Dallas Cowboys. But we do have a quote here, and it is from the Cowboys Senior Director of Media and Programming.
Ooh, let's hear it.
Okay, first of all, also Senior Director. If this isn't coming from the Chief Marketing Officer themselves, and this is kind of sketchy.
Okay.
His name is also Derek Eagleton. So he came from his Twitter account. So that's questionable too. It's coming from a personal Twitter account.
Okay.
This was simply an oversight that should have been caught and corrected by us. Anyone who's making it seem like Cowboys decision makers use social media videos to make statements doesn't understand or take the time to understand how it all works. Trust me, there's no story here. Wrongo. I work in marketing, and I'm not spilling out all processes and everything like that. But what you put out, no matter who you work for, whether it's a sports team, an insurance company, a real estate agency, anything like that, what we tweet out from Real Football Fans of New Jersey, what we put on our Instagram, guess what? It all gets approved. It all gets vetted. Guess what? That's your voice. So if you put out a video that Dak Prescott is not in, and he is your starting franchise quarterback, That is your company's voice, and that is your company making a statement. So I think that quote is complete bullshit. If the Giants, if the Cowboys wanted to actually correct this and be like, this really was an oversight, it would have come from their Twitter account, not the senior director.
Well,
no.
Number one, just don't put out a 2021 hype video just yet.
The
reason why I say that mainly too is because they will claim that it was just an oversight, but the reality of fact is Dak Prescott is a 2021 free agent.
So then why can't you say that? Be honest about it.
True, but just wait. And I'm not even saying that they're looking.
Business.
I'm not even saying they're looking to move on from him. But you cannot ignore the fact that he is a free agent. It is not 100% that he is a Dallas Cowboy next year. And you know that. And so instead of just making this video without him, just wait. Why are you making the hype video now?
Wait.
We just finished the Super Bowl.
Wait, or literally what you just said might have been the mindset when prepping for this video. Hey guys, like maybe we can't edit, or you can also edit people out. It's not that hard. Like maybe we can't edit him out, all this stuff. So then be on, or don't call it a hype video. Just say we're setting up this video. Oh my God. I hate that comment though from that person. And it's coming from someone who's not directly in charge. Like, I'm sorry, senior director is great. Like, I hope I get that role one day. Like, but honestly, like, a statement like that comes from the Dallas Cowboys organization. It doesn't come from Jerry Jones, obviously. It's just so dumb in my opinion.
Playing it like, oh, we didn't recognize. Like,
that's a lie. You didn't recognize that Dak Prescott wasn't in your video.
It is a lie.
He's more popular than Ezekiel Elliott. Yeah. Don't give me that. Do not give me that. Yeah. I don't like that. So that's it.
I agree.
And again, like Katie and I have said this like many times too, like don't put out things that like only football people are reading, like your blogs or your commentary. Like, don't act like we're all stupid. This is a comment like, don't think that marketing people aren't like into football. Or
this
like
also
like
just goes for all 32 NFL football teams. Don't make a hype video. I would say until the free agency and the draft is concluded.
Or you have your team set.
Because like Dak Prescott's not the only big name in free agency. So don't make your hype video.
Wait, so that was the thing on Get Up this morning. They literally were like, what if Sam Darnold wasn't in the Jets?
I was just going to say, what if Deshaun Watson? Well,
they used Sam Darnold because it was.
What if they made the hype? What if they made the hype video with Sam Darnold, and then in a month from now, Deshaun Watson's the quarterback and not Sam Darnold? Yeah. Why would you make the hype video until you have it like?
But but the commentary this morning was that what if they use, or maybe this was not on Get Up. Sorry, I watched or listened too much. I was listening to Boomer and Gio on the way home. And the commentary was, what if, and it was just CBS Sports. It was right before Boomer and Gio. And it was basically what if it was the Jets and they didn't put Sam Darnold in it? They'd be like, oh, so the speculation would be like, yes, they are trading it. They even brought up the Broncos. Drew Lock his name hasn't been gone around in a while. But if the Broncos released a hype video tomorrow and Drew Lock wasn't in it, the world would be like, well, that's it. He's gone. Yeah. And this is Dak Prescott.
It just created, they're talking about it on all the shows and the podcasts. Yeah. It created buzz that was completely unnecessary.
And if it really is like an oversight, delete the video and move on. Yeah.
All right. Well, that is our show for tonight. So sad that the football season is over, but you all know that there's still plenty to talk about.
I open my phone every second.
As we have already shown on tonight's show. But this week, do not miss Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. We said reunion part 1. That is on tonight at 10 p.m. Real Housewives of Atlanta on Sunday at 8. Real Housewives of Dallas on Tuesday at 9. And I feel like I just blinked, but Real Housewives of New Jersey season 11 premiere 1 week away.
You ready?
You guys see us next week on this show. Jersey will be after us. It is insane. And it pains me to say this next one, but our next thing we are looking forward to in the world of NFL is that free agency period. It is 35 days away.
We'll get there. We will get
there. And until then, the buzz will keep us afloat. So
it will.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Loved hanging out with you, sipping wine with you. Cheers.